Hey everyone, Egman here with another video, and today we've got the list for the 2021 Dragon Ball Super World Finals. That was a huge event that's just wrapping up of this video, releasing spoilers, well I guess like kind of anti-spoilers. This video is made the week before the actual finals, after the qualifiers is happening. I'm going to be out of town during the next week, so I wanted to just make this video. So this sheet might be a little bit different, but it will be in the description of this video, and it'll probably be updated a little bit with some more videos. We do have some videos here if you guys want to see the actual matches, but then also I'll probably update it for whoever actually gets first, second, third, and fourth. Right now we just are going to the top 4 finals after that, but very, very fun event, and I was part of the commentary team for it, and I've been just really enjoying all of these matches. And if you guys didn't know beforehand, so we had 8 players around the world who did qualify for this event. We had the week before, we had 2 pods of 4 where everyone played each other in kind of like a pool segment, and then the top 2 players from each pool advanced to the actual finals the next week. So we do have 4 qualifiers, and so in the document here, you guys will see just the their record and then which pod they're in. So from pod B, we had Juan Soto and Jeremy Rossignol get into it, and then Wang Po-Ian and Aandroidd Dovale got 2-1 each from the A pool to get their topping for the top 4. So that's kind of how that works, and we're going to talk real quick. The overview, I think the event was super fun. It was cool to see all of the matches that we did there. Super high level players in a lot of regard. And also, it is nice to see the kind of the spread of decks that we got. We had 3 Higher Dragons, 2 Gogeta Xeno, a starter deck Broly, a Cell Surge, and then Aandroidd 16 as well. So a good amount of variety. It's nice not to have like a tier 1 format. I do think, Higher Dragon is probably the strongest and most flexible deck of them. But if you look at these top 4, we have a different leader for each player, and that's really, really cool. So I'm looking forward to the actual finals. You guys will get to probably, as this video goes up, you guys already know who won, but the deck list will be the same, and we're just going to go through them right now. So first off, we're going to look at Juan Soto's list, and he decided to play Gogeta Xeno. And I will be honest, and this is just on me, I didn't know much about this deck going into this event. I kind of knew the idea of it, where you want to send cards to your warp, and your leader's very good at doing that, especially like on the front side, you get to send top 5 to your warp, and then with cards with your warp, you're able to go into your Gogetas, as long as you have a Son Goku and Vegeta with the same power level to do that. And go from there. So I do think this deck is super strong at what it's doing, and I would say it's something that separates someone who is average with the deck and someone's pro with it, is that you have to know exactly when you have enough gas to go in. And a lot of the games that we saw with this deck, they won, but only by like 10k combo. Most of the games were moderately close on just how tight the win was, and just kind of the knowledge of other matchups and everything. So I think Juan Soto was definitely a great player with this list, and he definitely knew what was going on with it. The interesting choices, I would say, is that the Ocean in the main I thought was really interesting, but it worked out great. We definitely saw some matches where it was able to stall out games, and even like in the mirror match, like this could be a game ender because you just mill through your deck so much. And the fact that you can also search and find this card again with Super Saiyan 4 Son Goku, that made it really, really nice. And the cycle, being able to use this unison for card draw. The Super Kamehamehas came in clutch a lot of the time too. For example, if you're swinging in and you play like the Mecha Frieza. Mecha Frieza from the Sun Gohan is really popular right now. And since a lot of other decks aren't running blue, there's just so much, that 1 energy means so much more right now, and not getting that energy untapped. I think this was a nice meta choice for the deck and everything else. So you can see this deck in action, and I think this is very, very well done and very strong. Obviously, any deck that can play Super Saiyan 3 Gogeta, not only for the Overwhelm, but for the Union Fusion, it's just a disgusting card and does so much. And then, I don't know, it's a very strong deck, and it can go off very, very well. We also did have David Liu playing his version of the deck as well. I would say the main differences that I saw, one, the secret rare short choice, and honestly, and spoilers, there's some interesting secret rare choices moving on, But the format is really, really cool, where there are so many different viable secret rares for most decks. They have 2 or 3 choices, and you get to choose the one that makes sense. And there's just honestly generic ones, like Kai is just a very generic secret rare. The new Pan one, just as much. So I don't think there's any that's just strictly better than the other, but I do like having those options ready for you. And so his list was more, want to go with Pan, and definitely really doubling down on using PyCon and getting those 1-drops very powered up. Having the Koisekai in the main, just the same. I think you just don't have the counterattack Goku. That makes the difference. But honestly, these 2 lists are very similar in that. I did like the Power Burst in the main. And I think the funny thing you could do with this is that if you had a Koisekai that's warped, you can use Power Burst to get it from your warp, and then you can discard it, and then you can activate its main in the drop area. That's some fun little cycling there, and everything else. But just I don't know. This deck is definitely one that kind of builds itself. There's just so many cards that are needed for your combos. You want to be able to have your Gogetas and also the parts to go into your Gogetas, and just from that, I didn't really go into the sideboard for either. But pretty much more of the same, a third ocean, if that makes a difference for you. Unexpected turn. We've seen there's a lot of sideboards that have it. You have to have the Deborah, and we do have the Power Burst, and also another PyCon in the side if you need it. And more or less the same. I'm not sure what was the Demigrows we're looking for, but being able to pop something with barrier and 30k power or more, if your opponent has 3 or less energy, is nice. It does have to have strictly barrier. It's not just ignoring barrier. So a bit of a weird call, but I like it. Like, it can pop, like, I guess, a Kefla on turn 3 if they have exactly 3 or less energy. There's also the SS4 Goku at 1. The Petrification, I think, is a nice call, and also the Bardox as well. Choose all your opponent's battle cards, and it costs 6 or more, and send them to the warp. There are a lot of big boys being played right now, and you can just counter a SS3 Gogeta with it too. So I think that's cool. And that is all I have to say about these decks. So congrats to both Juan Soto and David Liu for piloting these decks. I think they're great, and honestly, playing them, I've been a little. I'm not normally like an aggro kind of black player because I didn't play Vegex either. But this deck looked really fun, and it definitely felt a little bit more interactive than Vegex. You kind of have to sequence your plays differently, and you have to you have a lot of options, and I did like that. I think that's really, really cool. So there are those 2 decks. Next up, we do have Cell Surge, a list that I know near and dear. I would say this is just the standardish hand destruction package. Just the idea of having, I would say 4 of these Cell's Earth Destroying Kamehamehas is a bold choice because they could be dead in hand so much. But this is very strong at what you're doing. 2 Toas gains a lot of advantage for what you're doing too, though you have to get rid of your drop area. Being able to use the Goku and the Bardox now for yellow and draw power and everything else, going with the Demigra, Dark Broly. I don't know. We've seen this deck a lot. I think this is moderately standard for what it's doing. But I think the sideboard is what really sets it apart. The Koisekai is a really good choice because we do have the Demigras running around, Deborahs running around everywhere, just because it has the auto for 1. When this card is discarded from your hand by opponent's skill, play this card from your drop area, and then you get to draw 2. Well, now with the Koisekai, if you pay 1, then anytime they try to do that, they have to actually warp 2 cards from their hand, so they don't really get that advantage. Also, it's great for Mecha Frieza, and since you play it as a counter, this doesn't care about how cards are played. It's just saying if a card is played with 20k power or less, you have to warp 2 cards. This also means blocker negates. A lot of things that hit this card. This card hits that are honestly counters to this deck. It's weird to have this, I think, in the list, but it makes a whole bunch of sense. You can get this to your drop area very easily. The 1 to get the cycle and everything else is great, and I think it's a good card for what you're doing. We do have a Dark Power Black Mass Xeno. It's like a smaller version of Koisekai, but I think Koisekai is just better. An Unexpected Turn, Slumber Strike. So you get to either pop a card that's greater or more, or choose one of your opponent's backwards and it costs 3 or less and KO it. So just some generic removal there. We do have pretty much the anti-hand destruction card for green as well in this. Cell Surge is also really susceptible to hand destruction, funny enough, so being able to have this in the side is nice. Death Ball, Blue Impulse, and another Champa, because you already have 1. So I like the deck. I think the Koitz was a really good call for the deck, just because a lot of the hate for hand destruction can be countered with Koitz, so it's like countering the counter. And just a very strong deck, just being able to do everything you do. And I don't know. Hand Destruction's, I think, is doing well right now. I don't think it's broken, but I think it's still in a good spot and kind of like at least a gatekeeper for kind of viable decks. But yeah, obviously, big fan of this deck. Congrats to Jeremy for running it and going 2-1 with it. So he gets to go to the top 4 champs, and looking forward to see how he does with it there. Next up, we do have Wang Po's Broly, Star Deck Broly. Obviously, the weirdest, the most interesting choice, I would say, for the event going on. And it really is kind of like a Hand Destruction, somewhat Cell Search. It's definitely a different build, but it is like a Hand Destruction build. And it just does a lot. If you don't know what this card does, it's a very old leader. It's, I think, approaching 3 years this spring. But being able to refill your hand every turn to 6 is fantastic. Pretty much just turns into a draw 5 or 4, depending on how you set up your hand. And when you're going with Hand Destruction and you discard as many cards as this card does, and you go 1 for 1, it really starts to add up very, very quickly. And it just has like card destruction and everything else. I think this is a fantastic deck for what it is. It ended up going 2-1. It does have the now, I'd say, infamous, famous, depending on who you root for, Great Ape, Mass Saiyan in there. Being able to just pop something in the combo step, ignoring bear for just 1 green energy, or also just playing it for 5, getting dual attack, triple strike. Both just good cards. Good effects for what this leader's doing, and it just is so strong. Bardock, Paternal Unison, being able to use that to pop your 1-drops, but also gain card advantage, being able to prevent your opponent from comboing. This is just a very oppressive deck. It's definitely something off the radar, and I think it's a combination of the deck being good, Wang Po being a great player, and people just not expecting or knowing how to play against this correctly. And I think that's definitely what helped him get to the top 4 on the next day. So it's going to be interesting to see if people will be practicing against this, if they will kind of expect this deck now, and if the cat's out of the bag, if that's going to make a difference, or if Wang Po is going to still beat the odds with it too. I also want to do a special shout out to the sideboard in this. This is such a meme in so many ways. You will see. We got a commemorative photo in there. We have I'm the world champion, which is just so funny. Just like the amount of confidence in this. We did see him like the all art Piccolo, the I can win Espira. That's really good. The Spirit Bomb, which I'm thinking maybe this is a main deck, but just energy Goku. Very, very interesting. You gotta run Saiyan Instincts always, but what a I would assume he's just like, what? I only need 10 or 12 cards on my side, so let's fill it up with the good cards, and it's very, very funny. The funniest thing is that this is a Son Goku childhood, but you need the 1 yellow to activate this, and nothing else is yellow, so you'd have to have this on the board, but you also have to have a charge. So you can't actually play this card, but it's very funny that that was included in my, and of course the photo. But that is this list, and we'll see Wang Po, and you guys already know how well he did, so you'll see if this deck is worthwhile or not. Moving forward, we do have Higher Dragon. So this is Andrew Duvall's Higher Dragon list, and the last of the 4 lists that made it to the top 4 event the weekend afterwards. But we've seen Andrew Duvall play Higher Dragon, and we've seen just how strong yellow can be with all these nice tools it's gotten over the last couple of sets. So nothing too standard. I'd say the most interesting choice that was made is to the Vegeta striving to be the best. So when you play this card, choose which one of your opponent's battle cards with a barrier in rest mode, ignoring barrier, and KO it. And if you do, you get to untap an energy. So this is honestly as a I think a tech choice to not only pop like Lord Slug, you can pop it for free since this needs to be in rest mode anyways. Or even if I guess there's a Poutine in rest mode, I think this is an interesting choice for it, especially since you play it for 1, and it can just be an option to pop like ignoring obnoxious things. Luckily, you can't like shoot guess this out anymore, and you can do absurd things like, I don't know, pop a barrier card during combo step. Hashtag too soon, but I think this is a great card. We also do have the Vegeta Unison of Fury. This is an interesting choice too, with just a kind of moderate floodgate for the deck to help you out. And, being able to just play this for 4, you can tap your opponent out and get a double strike dual attack, I don't think is a terrible choice either. and everything else I'd say is pretty standard. Turtles just gets a lot of value for what you're doing. The slug package shuts down a lot. Like, luckily it doesn't start leaders draws, because like Broly needs those draws, but and you just get like cooler, which is great for like there's you can stop a dormant potential, you can stop a blue baby hatch, something like that. I think is a good choice. Going into the side, we do have like the hand destruction hate, which is very helpful. We do have an extra Vegeta units inferior. You do have more card draw. You have Fu and also Forbidden Power. So counterattack, if your leader is yellow, your opponent can only attack with battle cards one more time this turn. And then also active battle, if your leader card is yellow and it's your turn, you can choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, switch to rest mode, then choose up to one of your yellow battle cards, and it gets plus 10k power. So just kind of like a slightly worse negating floodgate wise, but more flexible version of like Nimbus. Kind of like it's in between like a Nimbus and like a Vegeto's Final Flash, but it also works very well with striving to be the best, because it doesn't actually pop a card. But if you have like three energy out and you use Forbidden Power, switch something to rest mode, and then you can then just play the Vegeta and then pop anything. So it just, since this needs to have barrier and have something to be rest mode, it can get around some really sticky cards, and I think that's cool. But here is this list. And if you don't like this one, don't worry, we got not one but two more versions of Higher Dragons. So that was Andrew Duvall's list. This is Lorenzo Z's list. And I would say the big difference is, one, he's playing that Bergamo, which I don't think, that Andrew didn't play it. But same secret rare use pan, added Son Goku Return of the Dragon Fist, which can be a really good game closer. And I think that's something that this deck is missing sometimes. It gains a lot of value, but it has a hard time going in. We also do have one of the Bergamo, which I'm surprised that Andrew's not playing. He's at 54 cards, and there's 56 cards here for Lorenzo, but I think, I don't know, Bergamo can win you games sometimes. It's very powerful, but you don't have like a lot of things putting stuff in rest. Otherwise, I think everything is pretty good. The Absolute Annihilation can win games too on its spot. So a lot of just good one-ofs that, depending on your situation, can do very well for you. And the Chi-Chi in the main, which this was interesting that I was in the main. But it does just get extra card drawn. It's a nice cycle card. In the side, having the Koits, it also has the Vegeta striving to be best inside. Just going Flying Nimbus instead of Forbidden Power, and only like the Bora. Not seeing a lot of anti-hand destruction cards, and another Son Goku and another Vegeta. So I think strong cards there. And then lastly, we've got Ivan's list from Spain, also running the Vegetas in the main. Fu in main, which we don't see very often. And how many cards? Yeah, 56 as well. They're also deciding to run the Son Goku Jr. And Vegeta Jr. Scions. But this is just kind of aggressive with your skillless battle cards. Being able to play them from your drop area for -1 is great. Helps you cycle your cards as well. And -2, you can shuffle 2 back into your drop area and draw 2. So like it's just a flexible card for a deck that's already using the vanillas. But that, I think, was the most different thing that was in this list compared to others. All of them decided to run Pan, and I don't blame Pan's very good. Sideboard has some extra cards like the Godly Destruction Whis, which is great. Also, the one of Death Blaster. I think this card can run. I think you can run this card, but I think it's more of the like the yellow blue. Actually, the yellow blue can't run because you have to be mono blue or mono yellow. I don't know. I like this card a lot. It can be a little expensive, but it can just, I don't know, if your opponent's not expecting it, win you the game. So I do like it in the side, but I'm not sure if it did them any good this weekend. But that is the list there. And lastly, we do have Jared's Aandroidd 16 list. If you haven't seen this, it's moderately similar to the list that he ran for the Nationals to get his second place, and that I know of. So I did do an interview with him as well, so he'll probably, you might get more from just talking to him or watching that video on him, but this deck is great. It has a lot of surprise techniques, and honestly, if you watch Jared's matches, I'm going to say it. I'm biased. I want him to win or qualify. I think all of his matches were super close, and I think there's some good watches. So I highly recommend watching the matches for these guys. And here is the side. I would say the only thing that I didn't like is that he doesn't run any black cards, and I completely understand because you have to top deck stuff for your energy return with the Aandroidd 16, and so you don't want to hit a black card because then it can shut off some of your other cards. But I think otherwise it's very, very strong. The Barrier of Hope can pop some things that are really sticky, including like a Lord Slug. That can be very good. And East Kai Keeping Watch is a fantastic card for you too. I think the only other card I would say, I'm a big fan of trying to run like 1 or 2 Xenos, the super combo, just for the extra untap, and then also potentially getting a card that's in your energy out of your energy, especially like if you get like a hatch in there, or even if you try to get like if you want to get more creative with your sideboard with like black cards, that can help you out a lot too and fix your energy. So I don't know. I think there's something to go there for it, but I haven't played the deck as much as he has, and he has like a stronger opinion. That this Pretty Black Hole also made an appearance this week, and it was a fun showing from that as well. But those are the 8 lists. Once again, I made this the week before the actual top 4 qualifiers, but I will be releasing the Monday afterwards, just to make sure that everyone's deck keeps secret and everything. But I did want to get these lists out to you guys, so I hope you guys appreciate it. This form was in the description, but it's probably going to look a little bit different than what you guys see right here. And I'll probably try to keep updated with as many matches re-uploaded as we can, and try to get these matches. And I'll probably say I'll spoil who got first, second, third, fourth. But that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys got something from this. I hope you enjoy it. Hey, it's like 30 minutes in, right? But subscribe to this channel, I guess. I got it at the end. If you're watching this and you're still watching it, you better be subscribed, because you just wasted 20 minutes to get in all the way here. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll catch you all next time.
Damn it. Damn it. Damn it. Damn it. Damn it.